When it comes to choosing where to live, work, or travel, safety is one of the biggest concerns. And when people weigh up the United Kingdom against the United States, the question often comes up: which country is actually safer? On the surface, both nations are modern, wealthy, and democratic. But underneath that, the numbers tell a very different story. Let's start with violent crime. The United States has one of the highest violent crime rates among developed countries. According to the latest global statistics, the homicide rate in the US is around 6.5 per 100,000 people. In the UK, it's about 1.2. That means you're over 5 times more likely to be murdered in America than in the UK. One major reason for this gap is firearms. The United States has over 400 million privately owned guns. More guns than people. Gun violence is a daily reality in some American cities. In contrast, the UK has some of the strictest gun control laws in the world. Most civilians can't own handguns at all, and even hunting rifles require serious licensing. As a result, gun-related deaths are extremely rare in the UK. Now, some people argue that while the UK has lower gun crime, it has higher rates of stabbings and knife-related violence. And that's partially true, but particularly in major cities like London, where knife crime has been on the rise. But even so, the severity and scale of these incidents are generally lower. Knife attacks tend to be more isolated, with fewer victims per incident, compared to mass shootings in the US. Next, let's talk about policing. In the United States, police are typically armed with firearms and trained for a higher threat environment. In the UK, most officers still don't carry guns. Instead, specialized armed response units are deployed when necessary. This changes the way police interact with the public and impacts how violence is managed. It's not without controversy in either country, but overall, the UK reports fewer incidents of police-involved shootings and lower civilian deaths during police encounters. Another key area is healthcare access in emergencies. In the UK, healthcare is publicly funded through the National Health Service, or NHS. That means if you're in an accident, you'll receive emergency treatment without worrying about costs. In the US, the healthcare system is largely privatized. While the technology and quality can be excellent, access often depends on your insurance status. A serious injury without coverage can turn into financial catastrophe. Let's also take a look at road safety. The US has roughly 12 road deaths per 100,000 people each year. The UK, less than 3. Why such a big difference? There are a few reasons. The US has much longer driving distances, higher speed limits, and more distracted driving. In contrast, the UK enforces strict drink driving laws, speed limits, and widespread use of speed cameras. British roads, while narrow and often winding, are statistically safer. And what about natural disasters? Here again, the United States has the disadvantage. Due to its massive size and varied geography, the US is hit by hurricanes, tornadoes, wildfires, floods, and earthquakes on a regular basis. In contrast, the UK has a relatively mild climate. The worst natural disasters tend to be winter storms or the occasional flood. Now let's not pretend the UK is perfect. It has its fair share of crime, especially in dense urban areas. Antisocial behavior, drug use, gang violence, these are real issues in some communities. But when we're looking at raw data, violent deaths, access to emergency care, road accidents, and natural disasters, the UK consistently comes out as the safer option. However, there are nuances. The US is huge and diverse. Rural and suburban areas can be extremely safe, with tight-knit communities and very low crime. On the other hand, some American cities have significantly higher violence rates than the national average. Safety often comes down to where in the country you are. The UK is smaller and more centralized, which allows for more uniform law enforcement and social policy, but it also means less geographic variation. So, what's the verdict? If you're looking purely at statistics, fewer violent deaths, fewer road fatalities, fewer natural disasters, and universal emergency healthcare, the United Kingdom is the safer country overall. But personal safety depends on more than just data. It depends on your lifestyle, your location, your income, and your choices. Both countries have safe and dangerous areas. Both have strengths and weaknesses. But if you had to choose based on national safety averages alone, the UK is the clear winner.